Good afternoon. We're here with the incredible Fiona Knox. Let's give her a round of applause. What I really loved, about this show, there's so much kind of difference in the works. Is there any sound coming out of this? Yeah. We might turn it up a little bit. Yeah. I think for my hard hearing, we can leave it up with Will. Will can manage it. Yeah. What I really like about this show is there's such a variety of works and sort of scales of work. We'll look at Annie's work later. This sort of big work, some of Lee's kind of maquettes, but this beautiful work from Fiona that sits by itself, an individual kind of work, and there's something very powerful about that single kind of work. So maybe I'll just pass you over the talking stick. And you could talk a little bit about it because it's a really beautiful work using watercolor on paper, which is something that is so kind of beautiful and such an amazing kind of medium to work with. So yeah.
Well, it's an intimate little portrait. With watercolor, you've got one chance, and to pull it off, to leave the space, to leave the vibrancy, but also to have that quiet moment. That I was trying to perceive of a young child that's just in that reflective mood of wistfulness, to capture that feeling of daydreaming and not a happy snap photograph at all. So it's from life. Lucky she was...
Patient?
Well, she was daydreaming. She had a book and then she was drifting off into dreamland, and that was great. Got it. And the colours, well, how to blend colours, little exercises on how to use your resist, stuff like that. There's a few techniques in there that are quite handy for watercolourists to know about. It didn't take that long to do.
Yeah.
Because it's just one sitting virtually, and that's it. You've got that chance and that's it.
And it's such a beautiful thing. Like I had a friend who just returned from a sort of tour of Italy where he took his, sketch pad and did watercolors throughout. I think they can hear me. Did watercolors throughout Italy. And he said he did that instead of taking photos, right?
Yeah.
And he's got this incredible book of capturing those moments. And the thing that he did well, but you do incredibly well, which is incredibly hard, is capturing light, right? And light is so important to animating figures, particularly, in my mind, this figure sort of sitting next to a window or something.
Yeah.
But how the light comes across and sort of fleshes out the thing is an incredibly, once again, kind of a voodoo act. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, yeah. So I've been doing portraits forever. I mean, I can remember doing them in high school. Even of my sister, I've got a drawing. I've always got a sketchbook with me.
Yep.
And yes, in Europe I did some portraits. I was in portrait. I had a studio down in the south, and I was making portraits there of people around the area. And one turned up quite recently at this gentleman's funeral, and they used my portrait of him, one sitting in, for his obituary and in the church in the south of France, and they all sent me photos of the happening, and I went, oh my goodness, that was pretty poignant.
And once again, asking these questions as a non-artist, right? I guess that when you're approaching a portrait, you're obviously looking at creating a likeness of the person, right? That's one element of it. But the other thing, I guess, is capturing both the sort of nature of the person, but the environment in which you find them, right?
It's part of their character, so you've got to look at them for quite a while, get them relaxed. You might do a few sketches to start to get their, like the colours of the flesh tone, they're all different, so you'll play with that on the side.
Yeah.
To get that right. And then to capture when they get relaxed, to see those relaxed expressions, not the pretty face for the photograph. To find that which everyone recognises, yes, that's them.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I tried to do. I remember painting Barry Collier in his office for a parliamentary exhibition, and that was sort of hugely funny because he let me go into the office, oils, everything, stank the whole place out. And he was charming. He was really good.
Yeah.
And he still got the painting.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I love that idea of first coming in and looking at the subject and spending time looking at the subject rather than just coming in and starting to sketch it. And it's interesting talking to really good photographers, they do the same. Like, and that's their sort of criticism of a lot of younger photographers is younger photographers like get the camera out and they're straight through the viewfinder, right? But what they talk about is like the camera's behind them and they're sort of surveying the scene. They're sort of getting the total kind of mood of the thing in their head first, and then they approach that task. So I guess a similar kind of thing. Yeah.
It is, because I take lots of photos too.
Yeah.
Because old National Art School, you did photography, you did every subject.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I still take a lot of photos. But sketching, just like the jewellery, I always sketch it. It becomes like a sculpture or a 3D in my mind.
Yep.
And that is wearable art as well.
Yeah.
So you can see those pieces over there, I consider as wearable art sculpture.
That's right, yeah. But coming from drawing or coming
Absolutely.
from, yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned National Art School. The one interesting thing about many interesting things about National Art School, but one is that everyone does drawing. Everyone does drawing.
The studio practice was huge. We could stay in the studio back in the day all night. We'd light fires when we could stay there all night and keep painting. And they stopped that. But it was really wonderful because everyone in all the different studios knew everyone, and I painted different peers at the time. It wasn't figurative artist, wasn't seen as
the go at the time.
No, I was put down heaps. But it didn't matter. I can't stop anyway.
No, well, I'm glad you stayed the course.